Welcome to episode 12 of For Better Best Podcast. It's your boy, Charles Beloved, and I am here with my beautiful, talented podcaster, because you're now in the podcaster category.
Let me update my Instagram bio.
Slim. Mrs. Shireen Kirkendall, how you doing, dear?
Hi, baby.
How you doing? Life is good?
Yeah, also, I think when I am getting dressed, you're secretly watching me because...
Oh, no, we did a little color palette. I didn't. I picked this. This was in the bag before we ever even got to the studio.
Sure.
But I do like the alignment, y'all. Do y'all see the alignment? It looks good. But it's not about us today. We can sit here and do this.
We're joined today.
Yeah, no, get to it. You gotta let it breathe, man. You can't just... I'm sorry, y'all. This is our first time with a guest. But like we said, we wanted to introduce guest season 2.
I'm excited about our guest. That's why
I know, but like I just want to get to people. Like we told our story season 1. Season 2, we thought it was important now that you know our perspective, like have other people come on, share their stories, and now you know I'm crazy. So you know the angle that I'm coming from and also your background. So we're really excited to introduce guests to For Better Best Podcast. But with that,
we have our first guest.
Only one guest that was going to start
and we
this
love
song.
him so much.
She is singer. I'm going to lead with that. Songwriter. Executive producer. Let's be very clear.
I like that. That's a good one.
In reality TV shows.
Oh, shit. I knew you weren't going to leave that one out. Out of all the things. Out of all the titles.
You may know her as a award-winning singer, songwriter.
Grammy award winning.
Oh!
Great. Okay,
Be clear.
That's why I asked for the bio,
Be
because I wanted to
clear.
know if the G was
Grammy
there.
award winning.
Grammy award-winning singer.
Yes.
And also reality TV star from Love and Hip Hop. Let's give it up for the one, the only, Miss Bridget Kelly. Woo! I am so happy to have you here. Like,
I love
sincerely, like this is amazing for us because I think we titled this episode like, do you know who you are?
Yeah.
And the reason why I wanted to title that episode, you all see I'm stepping into my podcaster bag this season.
Yeah.
I know
I like this.
season
I like
1 was
this.
all Shireen. Season 2 is a combo now.
Oh, God.
Combination.
The combination. The live show element, I think, really has
No, it
taken
was
y'all
good.
to another
You know what I
level.
mean?
That was transcendent a little bit. That
Shout out
transcended a
EP,
little bit. That did.
BK, but like, do you know who you are? When we first met you, we were like, oh my God.
Well, I
That's
love,
Bridget
Kelly. Special Delivery was my song.
You understand what I'm saying?
You couldn't tell
Like-
me I wasn't breaking up with someone in my car because I was just singing Special Delivery at the
No,
top
what year,
of my...
what year did that come out? Who was you breaking up with? What year
What
this
year
was?
was that?
2011.
Okay, that was before me. Who?
That was-
I was nervous. I didn't know. I was like, was she breaking up with me? in her
I
car?
was not breaking up with you in my car.
It was 2011. That was probably the other
That
guy
was the
that took
one.
her to the Tuesday movie.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a Tuesday movie.
That was him.
Special delivery
That guy.
out.
No, that guy didn't get a song. He wasn't song worthy. I wasn't singing.
No, not songworthy. Got
but
it.
I loved Bridget already.
Absolutely.
So when I met her, I was like, oh my gosh, we met her. She's so
Absolutely.
nice.
Absolutely. And me, like, as somebody who loves music, and that's something I gotta look you in your eye, like, I've loved your albums. You had the 2013 Friend song.
Yeah.
If you fell in love, then this how we began.
That whole project.
Like, that project was
got
a
me in
vibe.
trouble. That project
You understand
was,
what I'm saying? So, like,
Yeah.
I had been a fan, and so when I finally got to, like, meet you, and then I was like, wait a minute, she's down to earth. Like,
She's so
you don't
nice.
have to be down to earth. Do you know who you are? Like, you're Bridget Kelly. And so it was like amazing for us to meet you as a fan, become friends with you, become family with you
Yeah.
now. But, you know, I still have that fan in me, and I want to learn about you. Like, I know post meeting you to now and some of the past, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know your story.
I guess neither of us really
Yeah, we
kind
were
of.
like, oh, we love her. Okay.
But I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, how did she become Bridget Kelly? I'm not sure.
Bridget Kelly. So let's take it back.
We'll take it
so I
back.
have some questions. That was just the intro. I hope y'all
Yes.
understand. Like, we
Yes.
got guests now. We in here
This is
with our
great.
executive producer, Bridget Kelly.
Yes.
So when did you first start singing?
I was always a singer, but I didn't think about singing as like a career or anything until I think I was like maybe 12 and I was in a church choir.
Okay.
It's always
okay.
church with
I was
black
wondering
people.
if it
And
was
so
church.
it was a church choir, but it was like it was an interesting experience because it wasn't like it wasn't like Sister Act 2 church choir. Like it was not Back in the Habit, Lauryn Hill, Eyes on a Sparrow. Yeah, it was none of it was not that. It wasn't giving the oh happy day. I wish it was, to be honest. If we had a Ryan Toby, I might have gotten discovered a little earlier.
Right.
Like I might have had the
It
gumption
was
to get
giving
up
more
there early.
Catholic
It was giving
church.
a little. Well, it was interdenominational.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it was definite. But it was black led, so it was
Okay.
still
Oh,
it was still a
good,
black
good,
choir.
good,
But
good,
it was that was when I really realized how
Were you
how
getting
much
solos?
I loved it. No,
Oh.
I didn't get solos at that point.
Alto, obviously.
I was an alto. Yeah,
okay,
I'm an alto. So
We
I wasn't
know
getting
the
solos,
tone.
which is fine. I didn't. To me, it was more about just having an outlet, just having the outlet to sing. And then when I got to high school, I decided prior to, I went to a really prestigious middle school.
Talk
and
your
everybody
truth, prestigious middle school. What was prestigious about it?
So everybody, basically, it was the launch pad for everybody in New York City that was children of color that wanted to go to private schools and set them up for all of the academic
Also,
success.
wasn't musical. It was just academic success.
It was academic success.
Okay.
Like I took adolescent psychology in 7th grade. We were reading.
Oh wow.
We were reading. Yeah, we were.
All right, we got Cat Williams here.
We were studying
3,000 books before the age.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I was reading books very quickly, writing 50-page essays in 7th and 8th grade.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, it was meant to. The program itself was meant. It was a rigorous competitive program. So it was meant to really set the kids that graduated from 8th grade went on to like Phillips Academy Andover in Massachusetts, boarding schools, Catholic schools, private schools.
Okay.
But those kinds of social networks that would set you up to be, attorneys or law or doctors or whatever that you were really interested in. That was kind of professors. There's a few people that I graduated with that ended up going on to be professors at Harvard. So, those kinds of things. I was probably the only kid that was like, "This is cool and all, but I just want to sing." So
I want to be a
okay,
singer.
music soul
I just
child.
want to be So
Okay, music soul child.
I auditioned for LaGuardia, which is a performing arts school.
I was about to say, what high school did you go to? Because New York is known for our performing arts high schools.
And so I remember the school being really disappointed. Like, damn, so you just not
That's
where
what
you go?
you just studied all this, you just took this education for real, and you just want to go back to public school like with the peasants? That's really how you moving? But I loved music. I really, and I felt like all the other programs that they offered at private schools to me were not.
They were academic focused. So
they were academic, but they were musically academic focused. And I had already seen, I'd already seen kind of what that looked like on a competitive scale. It was all classical. So it's like, I wasn't, in my mind, I wasn't like, I'm not going to go to high school and then go to Juilliard for classical.
Oh, she wasn't on the Julia Stiles vibe. She was doing, she was on the,
we were never going to be dancing.
We weren't doing the Say the Last Dance. Okay.
I was never going to give a classical repertoire with a cargo pant. That was not in the cards for me.
That movie
that movie was nasty work.
The fact that we all loved that movie,
she killed
nasty work.
We all were like, "Yo, she bodied that."
Looking back, I'm like, girl was 1 2-stepping across the
She had on an American Apparel leotard with some cargo pants.
Yo, this is wild.
Like, what was happening? Who approved that?
Crazy. But I'm back. Okay, so you didn't want that.
I didn't want that. So I really wanted a public school experience because I felt like ultimately that was where the real competition was going to be.
Vocal competition.
Yeah, and
so like
I had to
Cole
audition.
Greens, and Kyla Green. Y'all don't know that. Hopefully y'all know that. That's Sister Act 2. Come on, man. It's like the Sister Act 2 era. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Did I watch Sister Act 2?
It's the best movie of all time. So
You've seen Sister Act 2.
Lauryn Hill.
Yeah. His eye is on the sparrow.
Yes, I have.
Stop it.
First off, Charles, don't embarrass me because you haven't seen half of.
I was going to say, we're not going to do the movie. We're not going to have the movie conversation.
We're having a great conversation.
We're not going to have the movie conversation. But I went to high school and I realized really quickly how much I loved performing, and I loved. They gave us a bunch of extracurricular activities that we could kind of hone in on other skills. So we wanted to put on shows. We were able to put on performances. We were able to, participate in musicals if we wanted to. We could really just dabble in anything musically that we wanted to. Okay. And that for me was that was what cultivated my desire to songwrite, to perform, to work with other kids that were writing as well and other artists and, join groups and develop harmonies and all that kind of stuff was really a lot of fun.
So was there a specific moment or a specific piece of that made you say, I'm not a choir singer, like I feel like I have the voice, the tone, the vibe to be like a solo?
Did you ever do a group?
I tried, and didn't go over so well.
Well, goes back to
I knew it was coming. I knew stories.
I tried, but it was not for me. I will say though, I was in gospel choir. We had a gospel choir in high school, and rest in peace, Mr. Reberg. Mr. Reberg was probably the blackest Simon Cowell type of gospel director. The way we would, if you were talking in class, he would make you stand up and sing a solo. If you were talking in class,
okay,
that's not
like okay. So you want to interrupt? It's because you know the parts, right? And then go ahead, sing the alto part, and then
all
you
right
sing,
now.
And then stop you if you in the wrong. That's not the note, and go to the piano. This is the note.
Oh man.
So go again and
Find
make you
your
do
keys.
it. Find your key. Find your key.
I'm
you got to go up. You got to go up. And so he really put the pressure on us to try to be great, like really great, and not treat it with any ounce of ego at all. Like, and that to me was kind of around the same time. And it's, you know, everybody has their experience of finding God. But I, at about 15, was really when it was kind of like, nah, there's something a little deeper, a little more spiritual in this for me. And I realized when I had a solo that I was like, yeah, I need to be doing this. This is what I need to be doing. I need to be doing it.
How do you transition from I need to be doing this to
actually doing it?
Doing this.
So in New York, in a place like New York, you really have access. Well, at that time, you really have access to different venues that have open mics. There's talent shows and showcases all the time. Yeah. And so early 2000s was that era. Like there was always a talent show, always was some kind of showcase going on. And so there were all these different places in like Harlem and Brooklyn that we would do like open mic nights, spoken word kind of things. We would there was a group of us that would just kind of go around the city and perform. And so something that I loved a lot was Village Underground, which is
that's the one
right across the street from Blue Note. And there was a lot of people that came out of Village Underground. But if you could get up there and vibe out and jam and freestyle with them in an open mic situation, because the band was legit. Yeah. So if you could, and the background singers were fire. So if they were out singing you had to just find your way.
Go sit down.
Find your way. Okay. So those were kind of the things that prepped me for wanting to pursue a career in music, because I realized how steep the competition was, and two, how many opportunities there were to showcase your talent. And so I didn't realize at the time though how difficult it was going to be to try to get the attention of a label. And so I was going through a lot of stuff with my parents. My dad had ended up moving to Florida to take care of my grandmother, so we were not really in a good space. And then he moved back about maybe when I was like 19, and I had once I was out of high school, I was just not interested in the college thing at the moment. But my dad was really like, listen, just go to school for music. Give your mom like a little bit of peace of mind.
That's what I was going to ask.
Figure it out. Your
parents were supportive? Because
supportive is a strong word.
Because I can imagine how I want to be a famous singer is going to go over.
Well, my mother's a midwife, right? So my mom grew up really, really strictly devout Irish Catholic. So everybody goes to college. Everyone's a teacher, a nurse, or a lawyer. That's it. Like those are the ways that's really what you do. And so, or you have some kind of a union job, city, or you work for the city, something like that. So my mom was a midwife, and my mom was very regimented in her beliefs about success and education, right? Education was paramount for her. But she really was like, if this is really what you want to do, the continuing education is probably the best route to take, right? Even though she didn't know anything about it, she wasn't really into it at all, but she was trying to be supportive. My dad was really the one that was like, yo, go to school for this and really figure this, like learn the business aspect of it, learn and network, right? Like figure out how to be in a network of professional people. And I was like, all right, let me give this a try. So I got into New School with their jazz program, and they had like an audio engineering program. So I was learning how to record myself, learning how to do different things in the studio, because there weren't a lot of women. Unfortunately, I went to a lot of internships, and all of the internships I was sexually harassed and was like, I have no interest in this. So I didn't finish the program. I ended up not even getting anything around it. But they were like, well, take a break. If you want to decide after this semester, if you want to come back, we can figure out a way to put your credits towards something else. If you want to switch, kind of change your major or whatever. So during that span of time, my dad passed away. And so I was like, I can't do this without that support. My mom and I never really got along. We always bumped heads. So in my brain, I'm like, no, I have to just figure something else out. Pivot. So the only other thing that I really loved growing up, aside from music, was marine biology. And I always wanted to live by the ocean.
That's so random.
I wanted to.
I'm either going to be a singer
or a marine biologist.
Or I'm going to live in Hawaii, and y'all are going to have to come see me while I'm on my houseboat, having the time of my life. Studying
we're learning so much
dolphins
today.
And whales and sharks and sea turtles.
Houseboat?
I wanted to live on a houseboat.
Wow.
Or be on a beach. Like I wanted to be in a warm place.
Okay.
And I love the ocean. I love to swim.
You see how you learn something new about people you've known for
I
a long
really
time?
wanted to do that. And I wanted to. My mom was supportive of that when I was a kid.
Wow. She was supportive. Oh, well, marine biologist.
Marine biologist, it's a job. And she took me to Alaska when I was a kid so that I could see the whales and stuff and animals in the wild. And I was like, yeah, this is great. I love this. I want to do this. And then realized music was just much more of my calling than being, five layers on an Arctic cruise. So yeah, it really, that was in my mind. Once my dad passed, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna bite the bullet. I'm gonna go enroll in marine biology school, and I'll do it. And my mom was working at Columbia Presbyterian at the time, so I was eligible for half off tuition at Columbia.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Let me do this. They didn't really have a marine biology program, but I said, you know what? If I can at least get matriculated for a semester or two here,
I can go somewhere
else and figure it out. So I'm going through my applications, all that. I get a phone call like 2 weeks after my dad passes, and it's a girl that I went to high school with that I didn't really talk to like that. I don't even know how she got my phone number. She was a dance major. No idea. She calls me. She's like, hey, I really want to talk to you about this music opportunity. And I was like, look, I'm not really doing music anymore. Like, it's kind of a wrap for me. Yeah. Like, I didn't go into detail. I was just like, it's not really for me. She called. She was like, all right, well, I feel like I just thought maybe you'd want to do this because you're a really great singer. And I'm like, no, I'm cool, but thank you so much. I know a couple other singers. I'll point you in the direction. She called me literally every day for about a week.
And you didn't know her?
I knew her name. I saw her in passing.
I just want your home to be put.
No.
To be calling you every day.
No, and she was a dance major. So on top of that, I really was like, you don't even really know me like that to know how much I want to sing or whatever the case is.
And what music opportunities you got coming towards you, dance
right?
major?
So I have no idea what this is about at this point. So by the time this is all happening, and I remember it so vividly because my mother was we were shopping for luggage in Macy's. We're shopping for luggage in Macy's, and I remember I kept looking at my phone like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, why is this girl still calling me? And my mom turned around and she goes, take the phone call. Like, take it and listen to what she has to say. Like, if she's calling you like this, it's got to be something. Like,
your mother's so direct.
My mom is so like, just pick up the fucking phone because now it's on my nerves. Now you get on my nerves, so pick up the phone. So I take the call. I'm like, hey. She's like, yo, I know you said you weren't really interested, but I really think, and I blacked on her. And I was like, yo, my dad I literally buried my dad 2 weeks ago. Yeah. I'm not in the space to even consider. She was like, look, you don't have to do anything. She's like, I'm interning at Def Jam. There's a guy here that is looking for an artist. He's got a producer. He's really but he's an amazing human being. And I was like, you know what? I went down that route with an amazing human being, trying to get an internship for studio time, and it was not that kind of vibe. Yeah. She was like, no, but his business partner is his girlfriend. Like, they are in business together. So I really think it would be a great opportunity for just meet him. She was like, just show up and meet him. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Fine. I'll meet him. So I go set the meeting. She gives me his phone number. His name's Alaska. She's like, yo, go. And I'm like, of course, his name is Alaska. Of course. Are we sure he's not an artist? His name is Alaska.
Is he a marine biologist?
So, right. At this point.
I was going to say that was your little sign.
That should have been my sign. Wow. So I met up with him. He was interning under Tata at the time at Def Jam. So this is when Jay was at Def Jam. So even in high school, I was like, yo, when I get my record deal, I'm either going to be signed to Bad Boy or I'm going to be signed to Rockefeller. Like, I'm trying to have the Kanye West story. You going to give me my chain in this pink polo on stage. Like, this is what I want. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, this is whatever. It's a Def Jam, so I don't know what's happening. So I sit down and he's like, yo, just sing for me. So I just start singing in the courtyard at Def Jam. And he's just like blown away. Like, okay, well, now we have to work together. We got to figure this out. So we literally spent that next 2 years, like, and I explained, I was like, yo, I went through hell trying to get an internship at a studio. Men are trash. They all want one thing. And he was like, well, actually, my girlfriend is in the car right here watching this entire exchange. That's my business partner. Like, that's who I work. So I'm not on that type of time at all. Like, that's who. And they were just this beautifully fly black couple that was like, she was a stylist at the time who, oddly enough, worked at Rockaware. She was a stylist at Rockaware. And then he was interning at Def Jam and bartending. So we literally spent the next 2 years just working relentlessly at music. I worked with every producer in New York, recorded in closets, performed at random bars, random like family fun community centers, everything. At some point I bought a speaker, one of those giant like party speakers and a microphone, and was singing in the train station. We made CDs. I had I Heart BK t-shirts. We had bumper stickers. Like, we were
Now, see, this is the part that people don't know.
We were doing everything to get on people's radar.
One of Charles's questions was, when we were writing our outline, was, what did you do before music? He was like, did she work at Target? Did she work at
Citrus? I worked everywhere.
I'm like, in this 2 years where you're singing at the train station.
So I worked at the front desk at Equinox because I needed a gym membership. So I worked at the front desk at Equinox, and then I was recording music at night. So I would open I became the front desk manager. So I opened the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd be there from 5 until I would stay till 3. So I could like get everybody set up. I would stay till 3, and then I would go home. I would take a nap for like maybe 2 hours, and then be at the studio by 6 o'clock, and be at the studio from 6 until 12 to either 12 or 2.
Ladies, when you supporting that man trying to start his rap career, you don't gotta. He need to be working too.
That's crazy.
Was wild. And Alaska, who was my manager at that time, was bartending. So he would meet me at the studio, get me set up, and then go to work, and then be working, and then he would leave, and then I would go home, shower, and go to work. Like I would go home to shower, go to work, be at the gym by 5 a.m., do all that. Sometimes I would try to go in even a little bit earlier so I could work out. So I'd be working. If I didn't have studio that night before, then I would work out at like 4:30 in the morning before the shift would start. It was just always a lot. It was a lot. It was really, really tough. And then I was recording a demo. So we finally put together a demo. And then we kind of knew that Jay was getting ready to leave Def Jam, and he was going to start like that. Those conversations were already being had. So we're like, okay, we're going to present stuff to Jay and Tata. Like we have an in with Tata basically because of Alaska. So when that all takes place, when they move over there, we'll start pitching. So in my mind, I was like, well, why don't we just pitch to Def Jam? And they were like, no, let's just wait. Let's just wait a little bit because we don't know. Like, once Jay leaves, it's going to be a lot of, like, everybody's going to want to leave with him. So let's just see what happens when. Mind you, everybody at Def Jam didn't know anything about me being a singer. They all thought that I was, like, the little sis under Alaska. So no one knew. This is when Lenny S was an A&R at Def Jam at the time. This is when he signed Fab. He was trying to sign Drake, and that's a whole other story. Lenny was actually one of the first people that found Drake. That's a whole other.
Oh wow!
Like he put a lot of people in the building onto Drake very early on. Not a lot of people know that. I'm sure he'll watch at some point. He'll watch this episode or hear this episode and be like, "Yeah, I know." He was one of the. He was actually how a lot of us in the building remember listening to Drake. But that was no one really knew what I was working on or knew anything about what I was doing at the time. They were like, "Oh, I guess she's singing kind of, but she's just around." So when they left and they started Roc Nation, we were like, all right, how do we do this? Like, how do we go about trying to plant? And one of Alaska's partners, that management partners, was Jay Brown's assistant. Okay. So she planted my music on his laptop. Didn't say anything, was just put it in a folder on the desktop.
Was this your girl or she was just
she was working with Alaska, so she was working with my manager. She was Jay Brown's assistant, so she had access to all the things.
So she's like, I could get it where
she was like, I can get it where he'll stumble on it and be like, what the hell is this? And then go in and listen to it.
We love a little covert
operation. So like just gonna plant these seeds. And so he listened to it, whatever it was that he heard, and was like, yo, where this music come from? Who is this girl? We need to meet with her. We need to see what's going on. Go and meet with him at Rock the Mic, which conveniently was 2 blocks away from my mother's house. So we'll go walk to the studio at this point. Because I'm in my brain now, I'm like, this is where they are. This is where they've been this whole time. They've all been this close to me this whole time.
I didn't know.
And really wasn't paying attention. Like, I'd been to 4040, which was also on my mother's block, but like 2 avenues down. Everything was all very close together. And so I get to Rock the Mic, and I go in, and Jay Brown's just like, okay, just go in the booth.
You're like,
I went in that booth, and I sang a cappella for probably an hour and a half.
An hour and a half?
I was freestyling stuff. I was singing songs that I wrote. I was singing cover songs.
Underdog? Oh, you sang a cappella.
He gave me a little reverb. The engineer gave me a little reverb. Shout out to Marcos. He was the best. Gave me a little reverb.
That's hazing. Like
I was gonna say, I remember an hour and a half.
About an hour and a half.
An insane amount of time to be singing.
I would stop. I would get water. And I would come back. But it was just recording the whole time. He recorded 90 minutes of me just singing the whole time.
Good for you for not being nervous and just going up there.
I was
doing your thing.
Well, I wasn't, and it wasn't even so much nervous as much as it was like that was the easy part for me. The singing was always the easy part. Being just told to go into a booth and sing was like, all right, I can do this. I do this all the time. That's not a big deal. The other parts of the industry were really what got me a little bit, stuck, I think, where imaging was concerned, where sound was concerned. But yeah, that was kind of it. I didn't even meet they sent me the deal. I hadn't even met Jay yet. Like they made an offer at like 3:00 in the morning when I was getting ready to go to work.
How far after that singing did you get an offer?
Maybe a month.
Oh, this was fast.
Oh, it was very fast. It was within a month because it was over the summer, and I remember I was like couple weeks went by, and I was like, damn, I think I blew it. I
Yeah.
probably blew it. We didn't hear anything, nothing at all. And then all of a sudden, Alaska shows up at my, like, it was pouring rain. He shows up at my house, and I'm like, yo, I'm getting ready to go to work. Are you okay? Like, what's going on? And he's like, yo, they want to sign you. Like, they want to.
Oh, I got goosebumps.
They want to sign you. And I'm like, well, I have to go to work. Like,
I don't have time for this right now.
I don't have time for this right now. And I was in shock, but I didn't tell anybody. I went to work. I didn't say anything. I was like, I'm just gonna keep doing my job.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna think anything of it. And we finalized everything, and I was like, okay. And they're like, okay, well, you're the first artist, so just know, like, that's a big deal.
Sheesh.
Oh wow.
And I was
no
like,
pressure.
okay, I guess I didn't know.
Let's give it up for that. Hold on, let's give it up.
Yes.
That was just beautiful.
And in my mind, I was
That's
like,
beautiful.
I'm like, okay. So now I'm like, okay, but when am I gonna meet Beyonce though? Like, when is that
These
happening?
are fair questions.
Like,
These
when
are
is
fair
that
questions.
happening? So at that point, I got called to like a random dinner at Spotted Pig, which was JayZ's restaurant in New York at the time. And I was like, I don't know what to wear to this. I don't know what to wear. And it was
Oh,
cold.
you told me this story before.
So I put on like this grandma like sweater that I had that was like it had like fluffy frill. Mind you, this is like 2008. So this is when we're still wearing business casual shits at club. So this is like
Gauchos
this.
and-
Yeah, like I had a
peplum.
yeah, like I had a really pointy boot that I was very Mary J. Blige, and I had this like these balloon sleeves sweater. So I show up at this dinner, and there's mad security like down there. Like, okay, we got to walk you in through the back way where you got to go through the security entrance. And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Happening?
And I was like, I get it, y'all are stars, but this is a bit much. Y'all are dragging this security situation. So I'm walking up. There's security at the bottom of the stairs, security at the top of the stairs. I'm like, what the fuck? What am I walking into?
You ain't read the room.
I didn't know what was going on. I just thought I was going to dinner. Jay Brown is like, yo, just throw some shit on and pull up. So I get to this room. I walk in, and it's this long family table, this long, like, massive wooden plank, like, crate and barrel table.
Uh-huh.
And Jay is in the middle. Jay and B are in the middle. And then on the other side is Chris Martin, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Jeez.
Oh my goodness.
And Bono. And then on the
Oh,
other
my.
side, sitting next to Jay, is Bill Clinton. So now...
Oh.
Wait, what?
So now I'm pissed, because now I'm like...
I would have got a fit off.
I would have gone shopping for this. Because now it's like, oh yeah, just come and sit down. And I'm like, are y'all out of your are y'all crazy?
Oh, man.
Like, I could not, that to me was unfathomable that was my first time ever meeting, and I got introduced. It's like, oh yeah, this is my first artist. We just signed her. And I was like,
Hi.
hello.
Sorry.
Good evening.
Didn't know any of you were going to be here.
Right. I was not aware of what was happening. So it was just a very interesting turn of events beyond that, because I really always felt like I didn't know how comfortable to ever be, regardless of how comfortable they were.
Yeah.
Like, they're not my friends.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, at the end of the day, we work together, but we're not really friends, even though we act like friends, or y'all act like friends, and I don't really know where the boundaries are with that. And so it was always a little bit uncomfortable.
Okay.
But yeah, but I had a job. Like, I still was going to work. And then I left Equinox and went and worked at a Pilates studio. So then I was working.
Even after the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Was there any upfront in the deal, or it was
I got an advance. I got a little
Okay.
advance.
Okay.
But it also wasn't, to me, the advance was like, we needed that to buy clothes for performances, or
Okay.
I needed to get
Reinvestment
a
in the
haircut. I
business.
needed to, you know what I mean? Like, stuff that was really for my artistry. Like, if we needed it, we kept it
That makes
aside.
sense.
If I want to record something extra, and they'll give me a deal on studio time, but I still got to pay for studio time. So in my mind, I was like, I don't really want to spend that. I'd rather
Smart.
just keep my
Smart.
job.
All right,
Yeah.
that's smart. Because I would have been flossed up.
No. Well, we
This
definitely.
is blowing
I
money
would
fast,
have
beloved.
flossed up a little bit.
I definitely went. My boyfriend at the time and I took a little trip to Mexico.
Okay,
like,
a little Mexico, a little getaway.
Yeah, like, it was cute. We did some cute things. Bought a couple things. Invested in some shoes. That was a very smart thing. And so though in that regard, I felt like I did my due diligence, but I never really felt like we had hit enough of a stride for me to leave my job. And so even when I got the call to fill in for Alicia Keys,
Hold on, I want to get to that. I'm interjecting because that was the next step. So my first exposure to you,
yes,
was in that time. So I want to hear how you got to that. I went to the tour.
yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm from Chicago, as y'all know. I'm in New York, and that song, when I say it resonated with me, it made me feel like I'm not gonna say it because I'm never gonna say it, but like, it made me love New York City, like that song. And so went to the tour, and this voice that I heard when it came out, it had an alto vibrato similar to Alicia Keys.
But it wasn't.
But it did not sound like Alicia Keys. I think you might have started singing like as you were walking out or whenever that first verse came out. And then she came out on stage and everybody was like, is that Alicia Keys? Is it not? Because you're also like a light-skinned, long hair woman. So I was about to say a different word. Folks in the audience were confused.
Yeah.
Naysayers were confused.
Not
Yeah.
naysayers. Wait, I don't know the Alicia Keys story.
Yeah, I'm getting to it. So I'm just saying. So then I heard this voice, and it was like, you did it with such justice in your own style. Obviously, you know, you stuck to the script, but like your voice was like unique in that way, and it was just like amazing. So I started to look up who the heck this person was. It was like, because it clearly wasn't Alicia Keys. And it ended up being Bridget Kelly.
Was this before or after Special Delivery?
This is way before.
This is way before Special Delivery. She was introduced to, okay. Now tell the story.
So
'cause I was like, who is this?
So when I was signed, right, I ended up getting asked by a tour manager, by Flo Rida's tour manager, to sing background for him on Good Morning America. So I was like, okay, cool, that'll be fun, whatever. The tour manager was like, oh my God, she's great, she's excellent, blah blah blah. He was JayZ's tour manager at the time as well.
Gotcha.
So he was like, yo, actually, she might be, ended up pitching me to sing. And when I initially got the call, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to be singing background. They sent me the song. And I was like, oh, this is Alicia Keys. Like, I'm singing background for Alicia Keys. Like, so now I'm ready to cry.
The overdubs for her. So she's out there and then you in the back, New York. You know what I mean?
So I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And they're like, yeah, well,
you're from New York.
And I'm from New York. And I'm like,
moment.
and I loved Alicia Keys. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. So my brain is now like, okay, this is really the moment. Like I get to really work with someone that was one of my idols. So I'm like, okay, this is amazing. So like, okay, just show up at rehearsal. It'll be a great, you'll learn, like you'll get all the information at rehearsal. So I go to rehearsal, I meet the band, the Roc Boys, and I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, Omar, shout out to Omar Edwards. Love him to death. This was like pre Adam Blackstone. Like I hadn't even met Adam yet. Adam hadn't even like really emerged on the scene yet. So it was really Omar Edwards and a whole other slew of musicians from Philly and Chicago, because I know I'm from New York, and y'all know how I love New York, and I'm a rep New York till I die. But the greatest musicians in the world are from Philadelphia and Chicago.
Talk about it. I would take that.
So
I feel that way too.
They really
musically,
are.
like this, we a
Kevin
musical
Randolph,
town.
yes, they are. There are musicians from Tony Chicago, who was JayZ's bass player. The greatest musicians for me are from Chicago and Philadelphia. So I say all that to say, I get into rehearsal. I'm with the band. We're at SIR. I'm seeing all the like Blueprint 3 paraphernalia all over everything. They give me like a crew shirt. I'm meeting the crew. And I'm like, okay, great. So they hand me the mic, and so they're like, okay, well, we're just gonna try it without the track. And I'm like, cool, that's fine. Like, we'll try it without the track. And I'm like, okay, but is there anybody else? Are there any other background singers, or is it
right?
Is it just
she's
me?
known for her background at this time,
right?
now.
So I'm like, should I be like,
and what part am I coming in on?
Yeah, like, should I harmonize with her? Like, is she gonna be? Do I go lower than her? Like, I got the lower note. I can handle it. Like, it's cool. You know what I mean? So, and he's like, oh nah, it's just you. And I was like, oh. So now I'm like, all right. So I don't know really what this means, but we'll play. Yeah. We'll go through it. And he's like, just sing the lead. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I sing through the lead one time, and the band is like, hit one of those kind of moments and was like, oh.
Yeah.
And I was like, so are we...
How's this working?
So how is this? So when is she coming? So I know like what does she want? Do we know? Is anybody from her team here? So Jay comes in, and Jay's like, hey, so we're having a scheduling conflict, so it's just gonna be you. And I was like, I'm sorry. And he was like, yeah, you just gonna sing it. So just practice with the band, just learn it, and you just gonna sing it, and we just gonna perform it. Yeah, and I was like, okay, all right.
Y'all, this is insane.
Okay. Not thinking anything of it. Rehearsing all the things. We rehearse it. He's like, you sound great. He's like, just make it your own. It's fine. And I was like, okay, say less. So we getting ready, and I'm like, by the way, where is this show? Like, what is? And so the band is just kind of laughing at me at this point, because now I sound like an idiot. I'm like, girl, do you even know what's going on? Like, I did not know what was going on. I walked in blind, and they're like, this is a 9/11 show. Like, this is being performed at Madison Square Garden on 9/11, and it's a charity show. All the proceeds for this show are going to the families of fallen firefighters from 9/11. Like, this is a huge situation. This is like Global Citizens on crack. Like, this is this is the pride of New York, literally.
Yeah.
Like all of the different, everybody's coming out for this show. Everybody is I'm just sitting here like, so what does everybody mean? Like and he was like, everybody on the album. So I go through the set list and I'm looking at the set list and I'm like, okay, so Pharrell's coming out, Kanye's coming out, Swiss is coming out, Rihanna's coming out, Kanye.
This is a huge show.
Kid Cudi's coming out. John Mayer is playing guitar on DOA. So now I'm like, and I'm a John Mayer stan. So at this point, I'm like, I don't know how this is going to work. Nicki, Wayne, Drake come out. Everybody, when I tell you everyone is Beyonce comes out. Everyone is coming out at this show. The only artist, global superstar artist that's not coming out on this show is Alicia Keys. And I'm singing in place of her.
Ooh.
So now I'm like,
woo!
What the? How did we get here?
And why did no one tell me?
And why did no? So I'm freaking out. My team is like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? We gotta get stuff. We gotta get stuff to wear. The attire was all black. This is Jay when Jay was in his all black everything. We were in all black. I was like, cool, no problem. This is when I had bangs. My hair was black, like blunt. I was Brazilian blowout. Everything was straight. So I'm like, okay, we got this. We got this. We got this. We got this. We do the show. It's unbelievable. My Twitter is on this one. 2009.
Ooh,
Twitter is on fire.
Yes.
Everybody's like, Angie Martinez. Everybody is like, yo, who is this girl? Who is this girl? Who is this girl? I remember getting off stage and being like, oh my God, my life is never going to be the same. After this, it's never, my life is not going to be the same after this. But I realized, because they had a whole huge party and stuff after, and I went and toasted, and this was when my mom was taking Patron shots with Jay, which was short-lived. After all of that, I was like, yo, I have to go home because I had to go to work the next day.
Yo, you in this job. You in this job.
At least we know the love of the dedication. And we see it every day as our executive producer. But the dedication.
The job.
I had to go.
You couldn't call out that one day?
Nah. Well, also because I wasn't getting paid. Like I did that. I didn't get paid for that. So it's like, that's cool, but I still got to pay my rent. Like we still got bills. Like it's not. That didn't stop for me. It's like my family wasn't falling in 9/11. I'm not getting no proceeds. So it really was a moment of truth for me and feeling like, all right, cool. I have to see how this is going to change my life. And I went back to work. And then a few days later, I'm at work and Jay calls me and is like, hey, do you have a passport? And I'm like, yeah, I got a passport. And he's like, all right, cool. Can you get on a plane tomorrow? He was like, matter of fact, he was like, I'm going to just have the tour manager call you and give you all the information. Don't worry. I just want to make sure you had a passport. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, but I got work.
And he's like, why are you whispering? Mind you, I'm under the desk on the phone.
Hey, JayZ, I'm at work.
I'm just, what's going on? Where you at? I'm at work. You have a job? Yes. I have a job. And he was like, I ain't even mad at you. And I was like, thank you. I ain't even mad at you. I was like, thanks so much. Like, but I'm at job. He's like, I'm going to need you to tell them this your last day, though.
Ooh.
Like, this your last day at that job.
That's energy.
And I was like, okay.
That's energy.
Okay. And it was my last day. And nobody believed me. This is when YouTube was... That was the only way. YouTube was social media in 2009.
Because, you know,
So I had to show my coworkers.
We'll see you back here, Bridget, in 2 months.
Right. So I literally pull up the footage and I'm like, hey, so look, I need you to look at this. I looked it up on YouTube. That's me. And that's JayZ on stage.
And I'm going to go. I got to go work for him.
And I just got a phone call. I have to go. I have to leave. This is my last. I have to put in. I can't even give y'all 2 weeks. I'm really sorry because I have to get on a plane. Today's my last day. And that was it. And I went and what turned into, it was my first time in London. And we went from doing the 9/11 show to performing in front of 100,000 people at Wembley, which is the soccer stadium in London, with Coldplay. And we opened for Coldplay. That moment was when I was like, oh my, I don't even, everything was surreal. The curtains opening and it's 100,000 people in a soccer stadium. Mind you, Chris Martin is one of the nicest people ever and is like playing, and he's playing Viva La Vida, and hearing 100,000 people sing that chanty part at the end was like, all I could do was cry. And I was like, okay, God, I guess we're not marine biologists. We're not going to be swimming with no dolphins anytime soon at this point. And I went on tour. Jay ended up taking me on the road for a year.
Yep, that's why I got it.
Wow, this story has me on the edge of my seat.
No,
I went on tour for a year.
That's crazy.
I went on tour for a year, and it was probably the best experience of my life. And I say that really because I think that was probably the last time that I was able to enjoy bits and pieces and moments of my life without social media. Because then after that, social media became a thing for real.
Absolutely.
And it was like everything is now being
curated.
filmed. Everything is now being like, you know, I'm backstage at Wireless in London and Amy Winehouse like, oh my God, I love your shoes. And I was like, Amy Winehouse, thank you. I was ready to give them to her. Like,
Right,
you just have them. You would just have my shoes. I'll be barefoot in the mud. It's fine. Like, some of those moments, I'm really grateful. Social media was nowhere around that I just have those memories where it's literally like you had to be there moments.
Yeah.
You just had to be there to understand what that was like. But I realized too, coming off that tour, that it wasn't my life. Like, as much as I was excited about participating in that really had nothing to do with my career when I got home because I had no music. So I wasn't prepared for the momentum that tour brought me. So when I got back, I was like pressed to get into the studio. And they were like, well, pump your brakes because we don't even know what kind of music you're wanting to make. And I was like, well, I want to do a combination of Pink and Brandy. Like, that's where I'm at. I need hard rock guitars, but I want that percussion. I need that heavy bass percussion that Brandy give me. Rodney Jerkins. I need that Rodney Jerkins undertone.
Okay, love him some Brandy.
I need I need that. I need Rodney Jerkins. I want LaShawn Daniels. I want, you know what I mean. I wanted, rest in peace, LaShawn. I wanted all of those elements, right? And so they put me in with everybody I asked to be put in with.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Everybody I asked.
Well, let's give it up for that.
Like, I was like, yo, I want to go in with Linda Perry. Put me in with Linda Perry. And Linda Perry has a massive, like, library, like Beauty and the Beast library type studio in the Valley. And it was like, I went in and she's playing piano, playing harpsichord. She has a Rhodes. She's playing Rhodes. She's writing. Like, all of my experiences early on with creating with writers and producers was unbelievable. And unfortunately, none of the stuff that I loved ever made it to the project because we had such different visions about who I was and what kind of sound. And also, I realized that doing the Alicia Keys part typecast me automatically into R&B, regardless of how alternative I might have wanted to go.
Oh, wow. I thought you just meant like alternative sound still in R&B. No, you were trying to really be on some Pink. You make me
I cut my hair like Pat Benatar on purpose.
I was going to say, well, Bridget has...
She had a rock. I felt like some of the covers a little more rocky edge.
I did a cover of Use Somebody, Kings of Leon. That went viral because I loved that band and they're a rock band. Like, I did an acoustic cover of a rock song from a rock band.
This your white side coming out.
And I was influenced by both. And so to me, it was like, as an artist, that's always who I've been. Like, even when I went on my own tours later on and I opened for Brandy, opened for Mary J. Blige, I was doing cover songs that were like, I went from The Mouth and I went into Justin Timberlake's Till the End of Time. Like, the transition of that was still, into a pop record really worked well. So even though I was able to sing R&B, I still wanted to have a little bit of pop edge that was like, the If I Were a Boy Beyonce song to me was like, oh my God.
The fusion of those two worlds.
I mean, Jessie J too. Yes.
Yeah, we getting deep into the music. So we got to hear about like the making of Special Delivery. Like the song that was just like, oh no, I'm legit a stan. And so, like, how did that song come together?
So that song was actually a little bit of an accident.
Aren't most of them?
I was gonna say, I love hearing about.
Like, that's what I was like. I gotta hear the story. I don't know this show. I'm learning this as y'all learn this.
When I heard it the first time, I was like, yo, this they're gonna make fun of me because I'm talking about writing a letter and nobody's writing anything anymore.
Yeah,
like
nobody's.
We're all like we are all like we're fresh off the BlackBerry right now.
Like, I'm subbing you on BBM.
Like I'm subbing you on my away message. Like so you know what's up on BBM. Like it's not. I'm not writing no letter with no stamps. I don't even know how much a stamp costs at this point. Like I was like concerned that was not going to resonate, right? But I was also going through a relationship weird space anyway. So recording those songs at that time was so perfect because it was like, all right, let's just keep recording these heartbreak songs. This is where I'm at anyway, and you're gonna get the best of my performance right now while I'm in the thick of it. Into the thick of it, like that's really where I was. So I'm like, all right, cool. So we hear it, and initially I didn't think of that as a single. Like there were other songs that we did that I did with Jerry Wonder. There was stuff I did with Neo. There was stuff I did with Dream that I was like,
was cooking.
I was like, yo, we have joints.
We got some,
But this song in particular, shout out to Cristal and Eric Hudson, who wrote and produced the records. They really were like, nah, this might be kind of special. Let's just see. And I was like, you know what? And I got booked to do Essence. And they were like, yo, let's see how the crowd responds at Essence. And I remember rehearsing with the band. Everything was great. I got into a fight with my ex-boyfriend at the time, but backstage before I had to go perform.
Oh my gosh!
So, and he was pissed because I hadn't returned his phone call that earlier that day.
I'm preparing to sing.
Oh, I didn't. And at that point, on my rider is a glass of Cabernet and 2 shots of tequila. So at this point, I'm smacked. So I'm like, bro, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. Like, it may not be meant to be, my guy. Like, Faith Evans about to watch my set. Right. You can kick rocks straight up. Like, Faith Evans is outside. I don't care right now. Faith Evans and Kelly Price, matter of fact.
Ooh.
Like, it's giving Heartbreak Hotel right now. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Yes. So, and of course, my mother's there losing her mind. That's the Faith Evans. I was like, relax. You got to calm down. Like, it was really a moment where, and so I was already emotional. I was in my feelings. So I get up on stage, I'm performing, and we get to special delivery. When I tell you, something just came over me, and I started crying singing special delivery.
While singing it?
While singing it. So I'm doing that. Got me saying what?
Don't play with it now. Don't listen.
I'm crying doing that part, and the audience is like,
oh no.
The audience is, and mind you, it was a small, you know how the lounges are very intimate. So I was in one of the intimate lounges. So
I missed those lounges.
And I know I got some sisters and friends. We're going to get back to that Essence.
Please
bring back the lounges. The soundstage lounges.
The lounges
were incredible.
Were such a great opportunity for artists to really connect with the audience. Like the audience, when I tell you I was crying and women were touching me like, girl, it's okay. Man. From the audience, like it was an unbelievable experience. And that the video of that somebody ended up posting it on YouTube. And I remember Jay Brown emailing me and was like, hey, I just saw this, sent me a link to it, was like, I just saw this. This needs to be your first single. Wow. Look how the crowd is responding to this. Like, this is your first single. And I was like, you know what? Okay. I'm gonna trust you on this. I don't feel this way, but I've already seen how it goes when the songs that the artists usually hate most or that they don't connect, they don't feel like they connect with are the ones that do the best. I said, so I'm gonna just trust this and we just gonna go with it. And it went. And it went.
I just remember hearing it on High 97.
And it went. And we toured that thing. Yes. We did radio promo up and down the coast. We went. I was in Shreveport, Louisiana. I was in Macon, Georgia. I was in Jackson, Mississippi. I was going to all of these little smaller markets in the Midwest. I was in St. Louis. I was in Toledo, Cincinnati,
that's how you got to do it.
I was doing all of the, I booked a random show at House of Blues in Cleveland and did a small show at House of, I went to every single market I could possibly go to, like radio promo. And remember that being such a huge deal then about connecting with your audience and going to the smaller markets. And then being from New York too, it's like you don't even think about how all big of a deal it is in places that are not New York or not Atlanta. You know what I mean? And so that was just such a beautiful experience to be able to tour and promote that record that way. But it was kind of the beginning of the end when that record came out because I realized that the label did not necessarily have the same... They didn't have the same level of dedication to what I was trying to do as I really needed. And we were recording a lot of music, and I knew that it was costing money to record. I knew it was eating into the budget, and we weren't really having the same level of momentum that we wanted. And the other part, which I don't think a lot of people understand, even to this day, the way the music industry works, Roc Nation was an independent label. So I didn't have a distribution. I was the only artist on the label that didn't have distro. So Cole had Columbia and Sony. Rita also had Columbia. She was UK, but she had Columbia. She was at Sony. So everybody kind of had distribution and in-house resources in place. Roc totally funded everything that I was doing and did not, and there was no real kickback and there was no massive, music house to continue to funnel the resources. And so I realized shortly after that I was like, okay, I want to can we just put this project out? Like we'll put the EP out and kind of see how it goes. I cut my hair. I went through like a huge
we saw that
transition. Chopped my hair, lost a lot of weight. Like just went completely in the opposite direction that I thought I was going to go in. Full throttle R&B was like, nope, we're just going to embrace this. This is who we are. This is what we're doing, and really wrote a project that was autobiographical at the time about what was going on, and went in with Sam Dew and. I worked with everybody. I literally there was nobody I would not work with that at that time. And so Cultivated cut to Bridget Kelly, and it ended up having special delivery on it. It had The Mouth, it had Goosebumps, which was a huge Jerry Wonder record. There was just a lot. There was a lot of music. It was always a lot of music that we never really got a chance to get out. And so that project came out, and then I left the label a few months after that.
All right. Well, we're going to fast forward a little bit. So we did that. There was multiple albums.
Yes.
And then it was a TV show. And then it was podcasts. But let's talk about the special delivery of love. We still a relationship podcast. I don't know if y'all can see this rock on her hand that is literally blinding me.
Married.
It's like every time she do this, I'm like, what's going on? Shout out my brother Cheech.
She's getting married.
How did that come about?
Oh my gosh.
And at that time you were moving from LA to
Cheech Don. Talk to me about how that love
to New
came
York.
about.
That was when people say that it's really unexpected, it's very unexpected. So I met Cheech actually the summer before the pandemic. I met him at a group dinner. We all randomly after a fashion show went to Carbone, and Nigel Sylvester, shout out to Nigel. He is really good friends with Cheech. He's a big BMX, he's a professional BMX rider. Doing this sounds like it's like a motorcycle, but he's a professional athlete. So he goes all over the world, rides his bike. He does fashion campaigns. He's an unbelievable person. And so he just had this group dinner at Carbone. We're all sitting there, and I'm like, who is this cute guy with the hat and glasses who's just not paying any mind to me? Because I'm like, I was really giving Regine energy from Living Single. Like, if he's not looking at me, he's gay. Like, it's just. That's all that is.
Hello, how are you?
Hi,
I'm here.
hello. Look, you can look at me. It's fine. And so he was paying me no minds at all, and I was like, okay, fine. And Nigel is the star of the room, and so he's curating he's keeping the conversations going, the energy going. Yeah. And I'm just like, keep looking over, like, okay, so have you been here before? Like, is this your first time? Like, do you know what to order? Oh, you don't eat pork? Okay, well, this side of the menu is not for you. You're going to have to go to this side. Like, really just trying to keep the conversation going. And he's like, okay, no problem.
Sound like you were shooting.
So much.
Like, can we say that you were shooting?
I actually wasn't shooting at this time.
Okay. I mean, I'm just saying, as a guy, that sounded like a shot. That sounded like you was...
I wasn't shooting. I really wasn't shooting. I really was just trying to get his attention to keep him engaged in the conversation. Okay. But he wasn't... The energy wasn't giving. So I was like, oh, no, we're not going to keep... I'm not going to keep...
Yeah,
I'm not going to keep engaging.
Focus on yourself, King!
Like, this window of time, this is as much time as you're going to get and my energy you're going to get at this point. So I left it alone. And it turns out he was in a relationship at that time anyway. So that's really why he wasn't giving me any energy. So shout out to him for really playing it like...
Good job.
Playing it respectful.
That's the kind of energy
good job, Cheech.
And so...
Good job, Cheech.
Paying no mind at all. So
I got a different approach.
So then I go, and so then we don't see each other again. I end up going off to, I'm performing. I released an EP like a month after that. So I'm called Great Escape, and I'm promoting that, and I'm doing all the things for that. And then I end up running into him again out here at Complex Con. And I was like, oh, hey, Cheech. And he was like, hey. And I was with my homegirl, Tiffany. And she's like, girl, do you know him? And I was like, yeah. We had dinner.
Giving you that type of energy.
And I was like, yeah, we had dinner in New York. And his friend was like, bro, that's Bridget Kelly. You really about to
see her? Do you know who you are?
Know who that is?
Cheech, are you kidding me?
Like, yo, you don't know her? Like, you
also,
crazy?
I helped you find the non-pork dishes on the menu. Like,
also, it's your first time, and I'm practically I'm giving you all of the energy that the maitre d' is getting paid to give you. Like, what are we talking about? So it was just very interesting, and I was like, okay, I'm cool on this man now because he really this is twice now. You're not giving me energy.
That's fair.
I'm good.
That's fair.
So after that, though, he started following me on Instagram. Okay. And I was like, okay, follow back. And then maybe a month after that was when I was, dealing with going through the breakup with, all that. And so ended up getting hurt. That was when I herniated a disc in my back and I ended up in the hospital. And he was like, yo, are you okay? Like, are you good? Like, you broke your foot earlier. Now you in the hospital with your back. Like, what's going on? I was like, 2019 is trash. 2020 is my year, though.
Oh, is it?
2020 is my year, though, I thought. And so we just were talking back and forth throughout, and I was at that point dealing with a breakup and and he was dealing with his situation and was like, yo, I'm on the verge of a breakup. This is where we're at. So we just started to get to know each other as friends. It was not flirty. It was not, it was just we go back and forth.
I love the friendship
and just get to know each other. And then pandemic happened, and it was like, we were still at that point talking all the time, and it was like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, I got to get gas I'm at the gas station filling up the tank because I can't. They about to shut the gas station down because New York was a totally different world during the pandemic.
I saw it.
And so he was in New York. I was here, obviously, in LA. And so everything that I had lined up for 2020 was all music based. And so it all got derailed once the pandemic hit. I had stuff lined up for South by. There was stuff going on for activations for Coachella. I was doing the Blue Note Jazz Festival with Robert Glasper. Like, there was so many things that really were supposed to kind of like keep the momentum going with music, and it just didn't pan out that way. And I was like, all right, well, I don't know. I mean, I was looking at other things and trying to see if there was anything else in television and see if there was anything else I could host. And there was just nothing. And so that was when the podcast thing, when Joe was like, hey, hey, big head. And I was like, I'm not fucking with you. We're not friends right now. He's like, I'm sorry, I know. And he was, we had our little tiff, and he apologized. I was like, yo, I have this idea. I would really, want to run it by you the next time you're in New York. Like, let's talk. And I was like, bro, I'm not coming to New York. It's a pandemic. I'm not making my way. And he's like, well, I've been telling you for years you need to do a podcast, but I'm starting a network and I want you to do this podcast. Like, I want you to be on this pod. You need to host a podcast. Like, stop.
Your ass love saying no when people trying to give you an opportunity.
Clearly a gift.
Like the moral of the story,
gifted orator for the last 30 minutes. Clearly a gifted singer is like, nah.
The moral of the story is, if you want Bridget to do, you know what's funny? We wanted Bridget to do something. We had to badger her.
And she said no to us too.
Oh my goodness!
This is a toxic trait.
This is my toxic trait. My toxic trait is saying I have to go to work. It's the same. That's my toxic trait. No, I can't. Sorry, I can't. I gotta go to work.
Oh my goodness!
I have to get out of that. But that's essentially what happened. And so when I moved back to New York, and the relationship kept growing. But I moved back home with my mom. So I was like, we gonna have to. I don't know how this relationship is gonna go. I gotta see how this job is gonna work. And we literally dated and were trying to figure out the relationship for like 8 months, and then decided, all right, cool, maybe let's move in together.
So
let's see
two
what
pieces there, and then we getting out of here.
Yes.
We were starting to develop such a strong relationship with you when you were in LA, and then you went to New York, and that was like
that Complex Con.
That was a sad moment for us.
That Cheech acted like he didn't know you was a Complex Con. You gave me your phone number.
Yeah.
So I remember.
That's crazy.
Wow,
that's crazy.
Because your housewarming was that February.
Yeah, you were so nice, and I was like, Bridget Kelly, give me her phone number. We're friends, and she's not friends with you.
But I also realized that too, because I was like, no, I love Charles. So I was like, but I want to be Shireen's friend. Charles is great, but I want to be Shireen's
guys, as you can tell.
Shireen's one of my bridesmaids. Don't we're not about to play about that.
And so you move. You're now building a relationship with Cheech.
Yeah.
And as a guy who gave a ring to somebody, like at what point did you know? Because obviously you said yes, so you obviously had to know at some point that this is the person you want to spend your life with. What point did you know that? And then how much longer was it before he gave you the ring? Because there's always a gap there in y'all impatience. So I just want to know, like, was it quick or like?
So he's not gonna like this answer, but I'm gonna say it.
Nice.
Yeah, well, because there were elements of, but of course my toxic trait is like, girl, no. There were elements of not feeling ready on my end. I wasn't ready to say yes when I said yes, but I said yes because I felt like I was gonna arrive at. I had arrived at the yes and then told myself no.
You walked out of the yes.
I walked out of the yes. I did the Bridget myself, and I was like, oh no. The key moments for me. There was a couple things. I went through something really traumatic, and he made a joke in a moment and made me laugh in a moment of trauma that I felt like, okay, if something really life-threatening or life-altering is happening, then I know I can count on you to emotionally
that's beautiful.
Be present with me and try to bring me out of myself, right? Lighten the mood, because I'm a dramatic person. I'm very dramatic. I'm double Aries over here. We everything is scorched earth. So. He's very balanced. He's even keeled. So I knew that was one moment where I was like, all right, cool. I can count on him to be level headed when I'm losing my shit. And then there were other moments where, and as women, we all do this to some degree. We seek to affirm our fears or reaffirm our doubts about who you are, about what you're doing. And we don't know it always until the moment, right? Where it's like, well, I'm going to say this, and then he's just not going to show up, or he's going to let me down, or he's going to disappoint me. There were maybe 2 or 3 times where we had gotten into like an argument or a disagreement, and I was just kind of like, he's not going to say, he's not going to apologize for this. He's not going to. And while I'm having this self-talk, I get a long text message. I really owe you an apology for how I spoke to you. I really shouldn't have used that tone. And so now I'm there were probably like there were a series of moments where I had pie on my face to myself. Yeah. Where it was like, so you out here thinking that this man is doing X, Y, and Z, and it's really just that he's an imperfect man, like you're an imperfect woman. Yeah. but he's trying to better himself and wants to meet you where you're at. And so I think that was the moment for me where those moments added up to make me feel like the pros outweigh the cons by a landslide. And so to me, somebody who doesn't give up on, one, themselves, but two, me, when I'm unlovable or I'm being difficult or I'm showing a side that could be ugly in a moment, and him being like, I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna love you in spite of all that. Like, in spite of all that, I'm gonna still stand here because I'm gonna be accountable. You gonna be accountable, and we gonna figure this out. And I had never been in a relationship with a man that was willing to take the L on the chin and still be there to give me a hug and hold me through the foolishness that I might have forced him to engage in with me. So those moments were the
take a L on the chin, get right back up, man.
Yeah.
Man,
because women, we really do. We make it difficult sometimes we make it difficult for ourselves. We make things difficult for ourselves. So we make a lot of things difficult for you.
That's self-fulfilling prophecy. And lastly, this is for Better Best Podcast. We have Plus provided by executive producer. we now know
Shireen actually bought these cups.
I'm sorry, let me give you
Shireen actually bought these cups. She did.
EPBK.
Yes.
Part of your toxic trait is saying no.
Yeah.
Shireen and I want to start this podcast. You did not want to do it.
I was so afraid.
Consistently, we were like, we see this in you.
I was
like the way that she would talk about
consulting with us on the podcast.
Yeah.
And Charles was like, well, why don't you do it with us? She's like, oh, no, I can't.
And
I can't do it with you.
Cameras. And just, I'm like, should she just be our producer, man? And she's like, no, I'm happy to help. Like, no, I'm always here to help. And I love you. And we're like, no, like, we want you to be our
why don't you just actually do the work with us?
And I realized that I am the space that I'm in now for 2024 is I'm only saying no to things that are bad for me. I feel like I have said no to a lot of things in my career and in my life that might have been good for me, and I missed a lot of opportunities and missed out on a lot of momentum because of that. So 2024 is about saying yes to myself.
I love that. But why did you ultimately say yes and step into this EP space that you clearly are killing? You know what I mean?
Because well, for one, I believe in y'all. I really do think that what you have as creative people is special. I think that the story that you have is unique in that it's always changing. I think there's ups and there's downs. There's no denial of either one, right? They're all a part of the bigger picture. And I think it's important to see how people can exist in a marriage, because we are watching a generation of people that are terrified of committing to, they can't even commit to passwords. So watching people in a generation that are not necessarily gearing towards marriage or gearing towards family life, and who also have no idea who they are outside of that, to have an example of two people that are young, fun, smart, successful, but also still in their marriage have autonomy and still have their own identities. You're still your own person. You're still your own person. I think highlighting that and showcasing that in a world where there's a lot of reality TV that pushes a different narrative is really important. So I love that y'all are the poster.
Wow.
The
See,
poster
you see why
child
she's
for
a
that.
podcaster? We started this episode with me telling her, does she know who she is? And she ended it telling us, do we know who we are? That's crazy. I just want to tie that in.
Really y'all.
2024, Bridget Kelly, thank you so much for all that you've done for the world, all that you've done for us, all that you've done through your music to bring joy and harmony and very good tonality to people's lives. And y'all gonna see her because she's a multi-hyphenate. She already booked for festival hosting. She booked for singing gigs. So we back this year.
We're dropping,
it's go time.
We're dropping some music actually the week of the wedding.
See, that's what I wanted to hear. That's what I wanted to hear. Yo, for a Better
exciting.
Best
Shout out
episode
to
12.
you for hosting your first episode.
First guest!
Give me my link out.
Yo,
We love
that's
y'all.
amazing.
We'll catch y'all next week.